So what or who do you worship? Well, it's easy to say God, of course, but are you really worshiping anything else? Jesus said, worship only God. Good morning and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about easy to remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. And the point is to help you experience life to the fullest the Jesus way. Today's Jesus Said comes from Matthew 4:10, and in context here, this is about Jesus who was being tempted in the wilderness after he had fasted for 40 days and 40 nights before beginning his ministry. And so we're going to read from Matthew 4:10 in the NET translation today. Then Jesus said to him, and this is to the adversary, "Go away, Satan, for it is written, you are to worship the Lord your God and serve only him." Now, here's the context for that. Let's jump up to verse 8. Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their grandeur. And he said to him, "I will give you all these things if you throw yourself to the ground and worship me." And that's where Jesus said, "Go away, Satan." It's written, worship God only. And then verse 11, then the devil left him, and the angels came and began ministering to his needs. Some translations tell us that the adversary left for another time, that he was going to come back. Now, we hear in our culture about worship wars, about different styles of music or how worship should happen. But this was an actual spiritual worship war. And there is a war going on. And how did Jesus fight this battle? With it is written. Ephesians 6:12 says that our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against powers, against the world rulers of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavens. And so how do we fight this battle? And how do we know that we're worshiping the right thing? Well, Paul tells us that the battle is already won. In Colossians 2:14 and 15, he said, and this is talking about Jesus, he has destroyed what was against us, a certificate of indebtedness expressed in decrees opposed to us. He has taken it away by nailing it to the cross. Disarming the rulers and authorities, he has made a public disgrace of them, triumphing over them by the cross. So how did Jesus triumph over the adversary? Well, we just saw in the wilderness, it was with "it is written." And then on the cross, in Hebrews 5:7 and 8, it says that Jesus learned through what he suffered, that he offered both requests and supplications with loud cries and tears to the one who was able to save him. And although he was a son, he learned obedience through the things he suffered. Now, part of that suffering and learning in obedience was Jesus' temptation in the wilderness when he said, "It is written, worship only God." Now, how can we apply that to our lives? Well, let's look at more of the context of what Jesus quoted here. The command is from Deuteronomy 6. And we're going to read from verse 10. And when the Lord your God brings you to the land he promised your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give you, a land with large, fine cities that you did not build, houses filled with choice things you did not accumulate, hewn out cisterns you did not dig, and vineyards and olive groves you did not plant, and you eat your fill. Now, before we go on, let's unpack this. Basically, what this is saying is, don't take credit for the good stuff in your life. Worship only God, not stuff. He says, verse 12, "Be careful not to forget the Lord who brought you out of Egypt, that place of slavery. You must revere the Lord your God, serve him only, and take oaths using only his name." Revere and serve him. That's worship. And how do we do that? Well, we do that through obedience. And we're not going to read all of the rest of this, but the rest of that passage from Deuteronomy says, don't go after other gods. Don't worship other things because God is a jealous God. We are to worship only God, not our stuff, not anything else, but only him. So how Jesus fought this temptation was with an "it is written" and a focus on worshiping only God, because worship wins. Jesus said, worship only God. How can you put that into action today? Thank you so much for listening. If this is meaningful to you, it really does mean a lot when you like it, when you share it, when you comment. I really appreciate you. I hope that you have an amazing day, and I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest, the Jesus way. And I actually have a room full of people here today, and so we're going to close by follow Jesus today. And everybody said, love first. Have an amazing day.